Hello, good people. It's 10-minute Tuesday time. Now, practice does not make perfect. Practice makes permanent. This is a really important idea when it comes to overcoming insecurity, because when people kind of get the idea that insecurity is costing them, it's an annoying thing that's limiting them, it's something unpleasant, it's creating pain, chaos, leading to madness, all of which is natural to notice, right? It's not hard to see that. I think the natural response is to go, cool, well, I'm going to try and change this. So that's the first natural response. It's logical. We're always trying to bring peace and comfort to ourselves. We're doing the best we know how. So the natural tendency is to move toward improvement, towards a better deal. So most people go, cool, well, then I'm going to try and change this. And so they try and change it, but they don't know how, or they think they know how. And they go hard at practicing something that doesn't actually get them the results. And so then they have a bad experience, become disappointed and frustrated, and then give up or change their opinion about whether or not it's possible, and then go back to, this is just something that you manage. And they're back to where they started, if not worse, because now there's a sense of hopelessness and stuckness about the problem. So, I think there's a window of opportunity that comes around change, and it's really important to seize the opportunity while it's there, because it doesn't last forever. So, you might have heard me talk about before the fact that there's a kind of midlife opportunity for transformation that exists. I say kind of the 35 to 45 window as a generalization, but thankfully it's a bell curve, which means there's room for outliers who are younger and who are older. But the point is, it's likely that you and I are ready to do most of our change work midlife, simply because we're ready to be wrong about a bunch of stuff. So the things we have been practicing haven't been working, and so we go, okay, time for a different approach. So you don't get too many shots at a different approach. And that's the importance of a very clear framework around this. That's my intention, is to say, just trying stuff, just doing stuff, just your intention to change this and going over and over it is not enough, because practice does not make perfect. It makes permanent. Whatever you practice is reinforced, whether it's the right thing or not. I'll never forget my first paid golf lesson. I enjoy golf. I enjoy all sport, really. Love hitting a golf ball. Not very good at it, but thought I think I'd like to improve my game. So I went and paid for some lessons. And day one, coach says, look, what are you hoping to achieve? I just said, I just need to hit it hard and long and far all the time. He says, well, you won't be doing that for some time. I'm going to break you down, boy. I'm going to deconstruct you. You will not be hitting the ball a long way until we deconstruct this and put it back together again, which was not what I was looking for, but I kind of understood the point of it. And he says, before we start, just have a look at this guy over here on the fairway beside us, hitting balls, swearing, throwing clubs. He said, this guy's come, once or twice a week, every week for the last 10 years. And never once has he paid for a lesson. He just practices his bad habits. And he's getting really good at them. And I've never forgot that, because I thought, yeah, that is madness, but we're all guilty of it in certain areas of our life. We think practice makes perfect, but it doesn't. It just makes permanent. You got to practice the right thing. It's not just practicing anything. And in the absence of a clear framework and submitting to instruction, we're going to practice stuff that just further embeds us in our dysfunction. So really, really important to understand how this works. And it's kind of the idea of inertia. The technical term from physics about inertia is that an object will remain in its state of motion unless acted on by an external force. So things stay the way they are unless something changes. And practice isn't the thing that changes it. It's doing something different that changes things. We have neural pathways that are like ruts, that a bike tire would go in. They are the erosion path, the path that just keeps being reinforced. It happens in our brain. We're sense-making creatures. We tell stories, we form opinions, and then our brain gathers evidence to prove that that's true. And then we always go down that same path. So the neural pathways, the shortcuts that our brain builds, are reinforced daily. So it takes some effort to break the inertia of those things. Some really clear effort early on. That's why when I coach people, the first part of the coaching is always a deep dive. There's a lot of energy required at the beginning of the coaching process to go, okay, you've got to break out of these ruts and practice something very, very different for you to get lasting change here. Because your tendency will be to practice the things that you're already practicing, telling yourself you're getting there, you're making change, you're seeing progress. When the moment you get tired or stressed, you just go back to the neural pathway that you've always been in. So the big question is then what are we practicing? If practice doesn't make perfect, it makes permanent. What are the key things to practice? So obviously there's a lot of moving parts in this, and there's a bunch of key ideas around solving insecurity. But I would say if I could just give you the big picture, the course correction idea that's been most useful for me, and certainly for the people that I watch really solve this problem for good. They get good at practicing this one idea. And that idea is story state strategy rather than strategy state story. It's in my book. If you haven't got a copy of that book, still available for free plus postage, unhindered.com. People who've already read it and are loving it, thanks for your feedback. It's super exciting to know that's making such a difference, and that it is a valuable contribution. So that's fun. You can get on as an audio version too if you haven't got that. So I explained this concept at length in there, and I have covered it once before on a 10-Minute Tuesday. But the idea is most people live strategy state story. They get up and they do first. They operate from a place of what needs to get done based on whatever state they find themselves in, without an awareness of the story that's governing the whole operation. So therefore they are stuck in the rut. And no matter how hard they force through strategy or state, it's the story that pulls them back to that rut. It's the governing principle, it's the lid. So to make lasting change, the thing that requires your constant attention early on especially, and then once you break free, it's the thing you align yourself to every day. It's the idea of starting with story. Don't start with strategy. Don't jump into the do. Don't even jump into managing your state. It's the identity piece. That's where you start. Who am I? And what am I doing here? What is my value and worth? What do I believe? Where am I taking this thing? It's the big questions, the storytelling questions. And when you kind of realize that you're not the actor in the story, you're the storyteller, you realize that is your most important work. And it's work to do every day, and align yourself to a beautiful and compelling story, and realizing that the people who succeed in life just tell better stories than those who don't. So starting with story, that is my number one priority. Laps around my water tank, aligning myself to who I am, seeing it in my mind, speaking it out until I can feel it, and I'm there and it's true for me and I'm aligned. That's the stuff that's transformative. That's the stuff that's creating a new future for me. Start with story, then prime my state. Rituals that give me life. And then after aligning myself to a beautiful story, having primed my state, then I go do work from there. Because doing always flows from being, whether you're aware of that or not. So when people just rush to strategy first, they are doing out of a being anyway. It's just that the being is an insecurity being, not a security being. So it's capped, it's limited, it's compromised. So the real importance, if you're going to pay attention to lasting change, it is storytelling work. That is the stuff that is requiring all your attention, all your energy, all your effort. That is what you need to break the inertia of your current existence, your current experience. And I think you need some help to do that early on, and that's why Practice 5 makes the list of essential practices. Get help from someone who doesn't care. So finding someone who can help you break that inertia and do that storytelling piece. So I hope that's useful. Now, my good mate Bryce Holdaway has been on to me for some time to make a summary of all past 10-Minute Tuesday episodes. So Catherine and I have been working on that in the last couple of weeks. So it's almost done. So that'll be ready in the next couple of days. So, I think there's so much content in these 10-Minute Tuesdays that is useful for doing this storytelling piece. So to go back and listen to past episodes will be useful, but if your time poor and you just would like the summary of the key ideas from all the past 10-Minute Tuesday episodes and an index of what number is what title and where you can find information, just reach out. Just email me personally, Jaemin@jaeminfrazer.com. Jaemin at jaeminfrazer.com, and I'll send you that personally, that document, so you've got that resource and can practice the stuff that's going to break you free rather than continuing to practice your dysfunction. So hope that's really useful. Look forward to speaking to you again next week.